he was in a new role also. So at this point in history, from 1960 to 63, all of these characters converged at this point in time at the height of the Cold War, and were all kind of drawn and inexplicably woven into the fabric of the story that would become the Kennedy assassination.
Oh. Ed Sullivan.
Ed Sullivan was involved also. He was a journalist and also had the Ed Sullivan Show. It's a really big shoe, Jack.
Yeah, really big shoe. Well, how was he very respectful to Elvis?
Ed Sullivan?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. I think one of Elvis's appearances, he went out of his way and said that Elvis was a fine, decent young man.
Yeah.
And he was. He was a very respectful, decent person. You know, unfortunately, drugs took their toll on him later in life. But he was, you know, they said he was a down-home, good guy, and I think he's accurately portrayed in this book.
Who designed that cover for you? That's a beautiful cover.
I did the initial design. I sketched it out, and another designer named Joanne Blunt did the original draft, and then the fine tuning of it was done by a great designer named Jessica Kensington.
Are they local? Are they local people here?
Braintree, yep, they're local. This picture that we chose here to put on the cover of Elvis and Nixon is the most requested item of the National Archives, more so than the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
December 1970, Elvis was in a fight with his wife, I think, and Colonel Parker, and they were yelling at him for spending too much money. And he got upset and he flew from Graceland to Love Field in Dallas, Texas, which we all know is where Kennedy's casket was flown from after the assassination. And from there flew to California, out to LA, where he met Fitzy, who was house sitting for him at the time out in California. And he packed up a commemorative World War II pistol, fully loaded with bullets in a holster, $500 on him, flew from LA to Washington, D.C., went to the White House the next morning, unannounced, and requested to see President Nixon. They let him in. They took the bullets out of his gun. He gave the gun to Nixon as a gift, and that's when this picture was taken right here.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's an amazing story, yeah.
I wonder if there was other things going on in his head. Why would he have a loaded gun? I mean,
Elvis was a fan of firearms, and he wanted to give that gun to Nixon as a gift. In this day and age, can you imagine walking into the White House with a loaded gun? But he was able to do it back then.
Yeah.
And I think the Secret Service agent said, "Mr. President, the king is outside." And he said, "The king of what country?" And they said, "No, the king. Elvis Presley wants to meet you." And I found that gun that he gave Nixon that day was literally the smoking gun in the JFK assassination.
The smoking gun?
That was the smoking gun.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was the pistol that was used on November 22nd, 1963.
Who had the pistol?
Elvis had it.
Wait a minute here. I missed something.
Well, you have to read the book to find out.
Well, I did read the book now. You mean to say Elvis killed?
Elvis was involved.
Okay.
Elvis was involved.
Okay. So anyway, Fitzy's a very interesting character in the book.
Yep.
Where did you meet him?
Fitzy I met, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago. He was an Irishman from County Sligo, and he knew all these characters. When he was a child back in the 50s, John Wayne had met him on the filming of The Quiet Man. Not The Quiet Man, what's the Irish film that he made? Was it The Quiet Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Quiet Man with Maureen O'Hara in
Yeah.
Ireland. And then years later, when Fitzy was 18 or so, he emigrated to America and became a shoeshine boy on the Paramount lot. And that's where he got to meet Sinatra. He polished Sinatra's wingtips and Elvis's size 11D shoes and John Wayne's cowboy boots, and had met JFK on JFK's campaign runs out to California, and became a confidant of sorts to all these people. And he also hustled. He was a waiter and a bartender at private parties, and he actually bartended an event after Kennedy won the nomination out in L.A. in 1960, and was there when Judy Garland sang "Over the Rainbow" that night to JFK.
Is he still around?
Fitzy unfortunately passed away of lung cancer a few years ago. I was by his side when he died, and he left me his belongings, one of which was this story, which we conversed about many, many times.
Yeah.
So without Fitzy...
Did he have a chance to see the book?
He didn't. He didn't.
That's too bad.
But the book is dedicated in part to him.
Yeah. He's a very interesting character. So, the book is selling good, and tell us a little, any experiences that you had doing the book, writing the book, that you want to talk about? There's a lot of interesting things.
It's a blend. I say all this tongue in cheek. It's a blend of fact and fiction. With a case that had never been solved, I wanted to solve it in a way that was humorous. It's 48 years to the day now since this has happened. This is the only humorous, satirical version of events. It's the only humorous take on the Kennedy assassination. Kind of like, Jack, this is to the Kennedy assassination what Hogan's Heroes was to the Nazis. You know what I mean?
And Sinatra.
Yep.
Sinatra was a good friend of Kennedy's, wasn't he?
Sinatra was instrumental in Kennedy getting elected. Raised a lot of money. He was instrumental in getting the mafia support behind Kennedy and a lot of free money that way. And then, unfortunately, after JFK was elected, his brother Robert Kennedy, who was a little overzealous in his crime fighting as Attorney General, suggested that they distanced themselves from Sinatra because of Sinatra's alleged mafia connection. So Sinatra was felt in fact jilted by the Kennedys and sought revenge in a way, and that led to his involvement.
Was there anything there with Marilyn Monroe? Anything that Fitzy could tell you about that relationship?
Only that of course she sang happy birthday to Kennedy on his 46th or 45th birthday at Madison Square Garden, and died 4 or 5 months after that, 3 or 4 months after that, mysteriously. No one really knows what happened there, whether she was murdered or overdosed or what.
Did you come in contact and trying to resolve that situation as far as a relationship or anything?
No, I think there was a dalliance there with one or maybe two of the Kennedy brothers. I don't think there was a deep relationship, but she's in the book. Towards the end, she comes back as because of course by 1963 she was dead, but in one chapter she comes back as a ghost to haunt the second gunman.
Oh, wow, wait a minute. So anyway, hey, how about Rebozo?
B.B. Rebozo, Nixon's confidant?
Yeah. What kind of a guy was he? How did he fit into this?
He was probably Nixon's only friend, certainly his best friend, but he's in the book as Nixon's right-hand man.
Yeah, but is he playing any...
I like B.B. Rebozo just because his name sounds funny. B.B. Rebozo, you know?
How does he play into the mystery of the assassination at all?
No, he's not. He's indirectly involved only because he was Nixon's right-hand man.
Was there anybody there unexpected to you that you discovered that was involved in the assassination?
Yeah.
Don't tell me to read the book again.
No.
But I mean, is there anybody that surprised you?
No, in looking for a second gunman, John Wayne took some auditions from a lot of different people. He considered Michael Landon from Bonanza. He considered Clint Eastwood. He considered Lee Marvin and a bunch of other people as the second gunman. But he ultimately went with Chuck the Rifleman Connors.
Oh wow, gee.
Because the Rifleman TV series had just been canceled, and Connors was in need of work, and he was a pretty good shot with a rifle. So.
Yeah, but this is all fantasy, of course.
Yes, yes.
I would have picked Lee Marvin.
Lee Marvin was good with a handgun, but no good with a rifle. They needed a rifle for this job.
So what's the story here with Grace Kelly and Jane Mansfield? How do they?
Grace Kelly and Jane Mansfield, they're not in the book, but I think they may have had a dalliance with with the president.
Dalliance. Now that